Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. This week I'm coming to you from Chesterville outside Durban. Remember that you can be a part of our tech conversation if you find us on SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's newsnetwork@sabc.co.za on email. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you what you think of the new hide comments feature on Twitter. Results of that poll are coming up later in the program. But first, here's what's coming up tonight. We tell you about Huawei's Developers Day. We have details on the Pay Africa Expo that took place in Johannesburg. And our conversation is on a new report that says African governments are still problematic when it comes to internet freedom for their citizens. That conversation is with Tony Manyakadze. Recently, Huawei brought developers from all over South Africa to a room in Cape Town. They were telling them about their new app store. They say they want to localize content that they will provide on Huawei products. Huawei has had a tough time in America this year. There was an announced ban and then the lifting of it by the United States of America. That led to Google announcing they will no longer give the Chinese tech giant access to its Android operating system. Huawei responded by announcing its Harmony operating system and now the Huawei App Gallery, which will be in future devices.
Huawei wants to set up Huawei ecosystem, and we put a lot of the investment to establish the local ecosystem to help our local developer to adapt the Huawei mobile service. So this is our target for the Huawei Develop Day.
Huawei has been increasing its capability in terms of the software space and expanding our solutions from an ecosystem perspective across the world. For South Africa and South African context, we wanted to find local solutions for local problems. And also we know in terms of the shortage of skills, especially in the IT space, within the South African context is quite large. So we have a lot of resources, whether it is from R&D investment to marketing investment and actual solutions and tools. So we want to make that accessible to the local developer community to be able to expand firstly their businesses, give them access to markets. I mean, we have 530 million users globally.
They've said that the App Gallery will have many apps that smartphone users know and love. They say local apps are important too.
There are various brands and manufacturers out there, but developers create software that is not directly linked to the hardware capability. Huawei is opening this up. So for the end user, it means that you will be able to have the best software available and applications and functionality, but using the power and performance of the Huawei hardware because we're allowing our developers to merge them and integrate them together.
Abonisiwe Innovations wants to improve service in restaurants. They were invited to the recent Huawei Developer Day.
This tablet is going to be on the table. You're going to press whatever you want, and the waiter is going to have a watch which is going to be connected to the tablet, which is going to be on your table, and the waiter is going to see that's table number 18, something like this, and then he will transfer it to the kitchen. And when it's on the kitchen, and they're going to tell him at what time you can come fetch the order and whatsoever.
Developers say it's great that they have more options than iOS and Android.
I'm excited. The reason I came here today is to see what can I do in my own capacity, because I also want to do my own thing in the future.
Huawei seems to be responding to American threats by working hard. In the past, they told us that their last 400 5G base stations have no American components in them and urged South Africa to be ready for 5G.
See, beyond the 5G, what is necessary for every country to leverage all of the technology innovation and to take the needed steps right now to adopt this technology innovation. So South Africa, to me, already have one network live in South Africa, but in order to expand that, every operator need from now take the step from today, getting ready for 5G. You can get ready for 5G by expanding your 4G network.
It seems Huawei is de-Americanizing and localizing in the countries in which it operates. Africa is a leader in mobile and digital payment methods. These were some of the conversations that happened at the recent Pay Africa Expo, which producer Sandile Hlangane attended.
It's going to require partnership. So if we look at the first missing link, it's networks, it's internet. We cannot bring a population onto a digital payment and an ability to transact digitally when there's no network or there isn't access to free internet. We need the government to provide an economic environment that stimulates growth for the SME entrepreneur. They also need credit, access to credit. A very important part of enabling our informal SME and micro enterprises is incubation and an understanding of how to run the business. Fintechs are the last mile. Technology is an enabler, but it isn't the forerunner. We need to have the platforms, credit, the internet, the know-how, and the support for the entrepreneurs to flourish in the SME game.
Look at this. Look who's here. So I speak.
There's a couple of products and services that are available for a different variety of people or consumer audience. And really the idea around that is to be able to offer payment mechanisms that are comfortable for different people, because we use different technologies, we have different connectivity challenges or risks or opportunities, and all that influences payment, particularly if you're going to talk about digital payments, right? I need to have a smartphone, I need to have access to data, or I need to be connected to be able to effect a payment. It needs to be authenticated and it needs to be settled. So because there's different mechanisms and different ways for different people, really the idea is to offer different payment methods and mechanisms that meet a different needs across different consumer bases.
We can make a difference just by highlighting these things.
I would like to say yes, that, well, they are, I mean, we definitely need them, but I don't know if the people are ready. I think a lot of work needs to be done by business to educate and bring and for people to understand the benefits of cashless payments. You know, if you look at, we all know that cash has got a lot of negative associations in terms of crime, time wastage. A lot of these guys need to close their businesses, to go into town, to collect cash to pay suppliers. So the supply chain is actually not sufficiently automated to assist them.
Well, once upon a time, this was a fancy technology. It still exists here in the township of Chesterville. You could put your card in and make a phone call. It's not fancy anymore as everybody lives on their mobile devices. But what is fancy is Nissan showcasing its augmented reality technology.
How do I shop for a car? Well, at this day and age, there's so many ways to shop for a car. First thing, I would probably go online. That's the first step. There's a lot of platforms that you can find online where you can find the best deals or the best websites where you can find what you want. And the second step is to visit those dealers that I've sort of made them my wish list online, and then visit them. After visiting them, that's when I'll make a purchase.
Okay, firstly, I'll start online. That's what comes to mind. Start online, check all the reviews, and after that, go to the dealership, get their catalogs, study the car myself, then go for a test drive and feel the car for myself. And then after that, that's when I'll make a decision. But first things first, I'll social media, the reviews, and all of those.
I think for me, online is the easy way and most convenient way to shop for a car. So because I already know what is that I want, streamlined, price-wise, brand, and then I think save time.
saving time is one very important aspect for millennial consumers. The latter has become a priority even with car dealerships who have incorporated various customer experience features in their workshops that are digital, like this augmented reality mobile app by Nissan.
The app is built around augmented reality, which people don't really focus on. It's a digital innovation element that's taken over the country and over the world, effectively. Most car brands don't focus on augmented reality or digital innovation being a way to sell a vehicle or market a vehicle. And that is, I think, what Nissan is doing differently. They are bringing their vehicle from a showroom environment into your home, into your own living space. And I think that's what augmented reality does very well, is it showcases something that is seen in a digital space in a real environment.
The Nissan Carcade is an app that is available on both Android and iOS phones. It enables users to customize their car and also see how it might look in their desired environment. It was launched in conjunction with the Nissan Micra on November 14th.
For us, it's a really interesting way to be able to showcase the product in our car, the new Micra, in a way that's engaging. You know, and if you always want to see what the car looks like in your environment, and using augmented reality technologies, it's an exciting way to be able to take the phone and put the car into your garage, even when it's not in a physical space. So it's very exciting, and I think that the challenge for us was to make sure that there was enough usability to keep people coming back.
Yeah, there we go. So move a little bit
I can see the front seat.
Exactly. So if you look to your side now, you'll see in the back seat.
Yes, I can tell now. I'm just like behind the driver.
An Audi dealership in Centurion, Gauteng has also delved into the virtual reality space with this VR-enabled customer private lounge.
I'm like the first woman on the moon.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we go to the Durban University of Technology to talk about a report that says African government still limits communication online. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, the State of Internet Freedom report says African governments are increasingly using state security as a reason to block the internet or parts of it, and sometimes to clamp down on users that they don't like on social media. So we went to the streets to find out what some of you think about this.
So I think in terms of the governments, it's less about protecting the population from security threats, as they claim, and more about protecting themselves and their corruption. And by doing this, they're basically infringing on the fundamental constitutional rights.
It's a good idea for political reasons in that country, in that particular country, but for other countries it's very difficult because of war and political reasons.
I think it's an unfair statement or excuse. For example, nowadays social media is used as a powerful tool to get the message across the world or create awareness.
Tony, are reports like the State of Internet Freedom really necessary?
Yeah, I think they are very necessary, because if you look at the world now, it's a global world. We have been globalized because of technology. We are a global world. So because of that, the only tool that we use to communicate globally is the internet. So we need to know what is happening in terms of are people free to communicate? Are there places where communication using the internet is being stifled by government? We need to find out what is happening in other countries as well.
And Africa's not looking good, is it?
Africa is not looking good. It's not looking good. There are some countries that are doing, governments that are actually doing so much to stifle and to silence internet freedom in their respective countries for various reasons. And they are not going to stop, because in a way they are intimidated and afraid because of what internet freedom can do to their...
Maybe if you can expand a little bit on those reasons.
Most governments in Africa would indicate the reasons to wanting to control the internet to say that it's because of issues like cyber attacks, issues like national security. But then we know that it's not the case usually. Most of the time it's because they are threatened by people being able to freely communicate and to voice out their opinions, something that traditional media didn't provide back in the day, when the only sources of information were through controlled televisions or newspapers. But now everyone can, with access to internet, can post and share and read opinions of other people. So that is their biggest threat. They do not want people to communicate freely. That is why they are actually doing their best to try and minimize those freedoms.
Zimbabwe gets cited quite a bit. What's going on in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, in Zimbabwe, if you look at maybe the past 3-4 years, the internet has been shut down partially and sometimes completely for I think 3 or 4 times because of Ifan Mawarire and this flag campaign. That was the first person who actually forced the government to shut down the internet, because he was just communicating a message to the people via WhatsApp and social media, Twitter, Facebook. And then they felt that his opinions were going to threaten their hold to power, and they are going to incite people to look at things differently. So they ended up switching off the internet so as to block the way that people were using to communicate. And recently as well, they blocked the internet towards the elections as well, or even after the elections, because of demonstrations, people that were threatening to demonstrate, and they were using social media to communicate. So yeah, Zimbabwe is always going to be on the top of the list, because the internet is forever threatening the government.
Traditional media is also said to be used to turn people against the internet or parts of it, or certain social media users. How does it get used?
Yeah, it is. In Zim, you get the state-controlled media, and I think majority of media organizations in Zim are controlled by the states. We only have 1 or 2 independent newspapers. Then we have 1 TV station. The radio stations that are in Zim, all of them are controlled by the state. So they are used in a way to discredit other people, and also to push propaganda that is for the government, and to push anything that is bad that is happening with other political parties which are their rivals. So traditional media is now, because it is controlled and it is controllable by the state, they use it as a weapon to silence their critics. So something that is not that the opposition does not have privy to. They cannot use traditional media in that way.
There are other countries flagged. What are they?
Ethiopia was flagged, as well as Kenya in 2017. And the reasons are actually similar. It's about people the government wanting to control people in terms of their opinions. They don't want them to strike, to mobilize, and to go on the streets to demonstrate whatever is happening in their countries. They want people to exist in silos, so to speak.
Can social media be controlled in the way that some of those mentioned in the report wanted to be controlled?
Yeah, it can. If you look at China, for instance, they've managed to control social media for the longest time. And I remember in 2016, when Mugabe in Zim was still president, he actually said he was going to introduce this Chinese style of press, of media censorship, internet censorship, because I think he had been to China for some time, and then when he came back, he was like, oh, we need to control the media the way the Chinese government is controlling the media in China. So it is possible to control it, but it is not necessary. there is more disadvantages to controlling social media than there is good, because we are trying to push for a globalized world, to globalize a global world in a way, and we are trying to, if you look at things that are going to happen in the near future, it's actually happening now. Fourth industrial revolution, all those things, they need the internet to be working. They need, strong internet and infrastructure. But if the governments are not encouraging that, then they are going to be left behind in all ways. Because now I understand the information that is shared on the internet is more valuable than oil. So you've got the biggest two companies in the world are tech companies, and if you are not going to encourage technology via the internet to thrive in your country, then the economy is not going to even grow.
And lastly, do you see internet freedoms improving in Africa?
I don't think they are going to improve because most governments in Africa are about power, and internet threatens that power. So they prioritize being in power more than democracy, more than moving forward. So it's a long way. It's a long way.
Right, Tony Manyakate, thank you very much for joining us. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back. Now here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
The 2019 edition of the Mogadishu Tech Summit brought together Somalis in the tech industry, government representatives, UN agencies, investors, and other stakeholders to discuss the importance of innovative solutions in science and technology in the country.
Today, Somalia faces, as you all know, challenges in economic, security, and environmental issues. Utilizing the powers of our youth towards the discovery of innovative solutions with the use of science and technology is our best chance in overcoming those challenges. Therefore, the impetus is upon us to channel the resources of our government and our international partners to invest in advancing the capacity of Somalia's youth in scientific and technological fields.
About 40 young innovators exhibited various technological inventions, and over 5,000 people attended this year's summit, which closed on Thursday. And now in the US of A. The social media app TikTok, wildly popular with American teenagers, has at least one thing that separates it from others, such as Facebook, Twitter, or Snapchat. It is not based in Silicon Valley, but in fact owned by a Chinese technology company called ByteDance. Last week, U.S. Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy said the U.S. military is undertaking a security assessment of TikTok. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, whose social media platform competes with TikTok for younger users, has also criticized the app over censorship concerns. Still in the USA. Comedian and actor Sacha Baron Cohen accused social media and internet companies of spreading hate, conspiracies and lies, saying Facebook would have allowed Hitler to post anti-Semitic ads had the social media giant existed in the 1930s.
Democracy, which depends on shared truths, is in retreat, and autocracy, which depends on shared lies, is on the march. Hate crimes are surging, as are murderous attacks on religious and ethnic minorities. Now, what do all these dangerous trends have in common? I'm just a comedian and an actor, I'm not a scholar, but one thing is pretty clear to me. All this hate and violence is being facilitated by a handful of internet companies that amount to the greatest propaganda machine in history.
Cohen shared his thoughts in a blistering speech at the Anti-Defamation League's Never Is Now Summit in New York.
Twitter recently launched its Hide Replies feature. So our Twitter poll this week is asking you what you think of it. The majority of you at 41% say you like this new hide replies feature. At 13% are those of you who say you don't like it, and that number is in the minority. At 16% are people who say they don't have an opinion in this. And at 30%, and in second place, are those of you who say this is actually not important at all. That's it. That's all we have for you. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. From Ms. Pumela Lezondi and the rest of the team right here in Chesterville, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Have a good one. It's bye-bye.